3 years ago, the internet and the rumors were humming about the next gen iPad Pro. That was supposed to be the 2021 edition. At this point, we weren't sure what processor it would have. I was absolutely sure it's gonna be the A14X chip. And then it happened, then it appeared, it turned out to be the M1 iPad Pro. And it's over 2.5 years now, pushing 3 years since this device released. And I'm absolutely blown away how good of a product it really was. We can criticize the Apple iPad lineup for a few things, for the software, for the fact that the design has been mostly static and it didn't really change that much since the 2018. Actually, when it comes to the front, when it comes to the displays, it hasn't changed at all. We can criticize iPads for plenty of things, but I gotta say, the M1 iPad Pro was probably the best product I ever bought. And 2.5 years later, it still speaks for itself. This device is, I'm gonna say it, okay? I'm gonna say it on this video. It's almost absolutely flawless. It's crazy how fast, how reliable, and how good of a performer this product is 2.5 years later. And I know it's gonna sound like an advertisement, so Apple can already pay me my money. I was just kidding. But it's gonna sound like that because this is literally a terrific product. I remember my reviews talking about it, being blown away by the performance, by the screen, the speakers, and everything this iPad had to offer. And amazingly, it hasn't changed 2.5 years later. And this is the answer why we get the iPad Pro. This speaks for itself when it comes to the quality of this product, because yes, we pay a lot for something that can't fully replace your laptop. We pay a lot for something that hasn't changed, that isn't changing that much. If you look at the exterior, at the, as I said, display, at the overall functioning, it isn't really changing. But when it comes to usage, when it comes to this lasting and being the most reliable or one of the most reliable devices you can have, this is a terrific product. And all the things I talked about in my reviews about the iPad Pro, the smooth screen, the good colors, the great performance 2.5 years later with that M1 chip, it's really fast, it's really reliable, apps are being held, 4K videos are being edited easily, 120 FPS gaming is perfectly doable, and I just don't need a console because this device just does it all. Watching content, doing research, or using it literally for everything. With the Apple Pencil, with the Freeform app, it's just one big canvas to explore your ideas into, I wanted to say a single piece of paper, which is of course not the case, but into one device that does it all. And yes, it's not as efficient as MacBook would be. It's not as sometimes reliable as iPhone is because, it's an iPad. It's a little bit of a different category. But, over the years, I came to love iPad for what it really is. And it really is pretty much everything. It can be a gaming console, it can be an entertainment device, it can be a research device, it can make you money if you're good at this stuff, if you know how to do your business. This device will absolutely be helpful in most ways. And even though it remains pretty much unchanged, the design still feels pretty premium, always feels pretty premium. And the overall hardware and the usefulness of this device is just blowing me away 2.5 years later. And with the perspective of the time, I feel like this was pretty much the best or one of the best products I ever bought. Because as I said, it does it all. I spent hours daily with this device and it's not disappointing. All the things I want to do, as I said, browsing web, reading papers, enjoying the smooth experience, gaming, producing content, all of this stuff, this device has been doing for 2.5 years and it keeps doing them, and it keeps getting better with the future iPadOS updates. Even though I said iPadOS is limited, sure, but it's developing and it's a better now. This iPad is a better device than when I originally got it. Of course, we got the widgets, we got what was it called? I think it's Stage Manager. Yeah, it's exactly called Stage Manager. We have a couple of new capabilities that we didn't have with this device when it released. And I remember even me being a little bit skeptical, about the usefulness of the M1 chip in this device. But over time, as I talked about in my previous video about the performance, over time you see why this overhead was so necessary in this iPad, because all of these functions for iPadOS 17 are actually designed for the M1 chip, for example, like external support display or modern gaming, or even Stage Manager, even though it works on the older iPad Pros. Like, now we see why this overhead was needed, because 2.5 years later this device is still flying, 2.5 years later it's still performing great, and now nobody says that the performance is too much, because if you use iPad to the fullest, it's never going to be too much. So I think this was really one of the best buys I ever thought, and I sincerely recommend this device for the year of 2024, even though we are getting the new M3 iPad Pro, which is gonna be, I feel like, a really big step ahead when it comes to the iPad upgrades. But you don't have to go for the best. You can get yourself an M1 iPad Pro for the cheaper price, even refurbished, and you're gonna enjoy a heck out of this device and use it to the fullest as the years go by. And naturally the M2 iPad Pro is better, but it was the M1 iPad Pro that really did a big jump when it came to the performance from the A12Z iPad Pro to the current version of the, not current anymore, but the version of the M1. It was a big deal, and it still is a big deal. And I feel like the M1 iPad Pro, I talked about it in the previous video, and I'm gonna say it now, and I'm probably gonna keep saying that for a long time. I feel like this is the best iPad you can buy. It absolutely crushes iPad Air. It absolutely crushes the iPad 10, iPad 9. iPad mini is a little bit, a different story because it's iPad mini. When it comes to the M2 iPad Pro, most people are really not gonna take advantage of that M2 processor. Like, my girlfriend has M2 iPad Pro and she doesn't really even use 120 Hz because she uses low power mode. Yes, and it hurts. I'm not gonna lie, it really hurts somewhere internally, but it is what it is. So most people are not gonna use the power of the M2. Most people are not gonna use the Pro features, but if you are and you're a little bit on a budget, or you just want a great iPad that's gonna last forever, the M1 iPad Pro is still a great product to have, and I sincerely recommend this. I think this is the best iPad still you can buy right now, and even after the new iPad's release, even in the year throughout the 2024, this is gonna be absolutely a terrific device that I sincerely recommend. And yeah, it's hard not to recommend this one because, as I said, it basically has it all, and skipping it, sure you can live without an iPad, but what a life it would be, So I sincerely recommend that. I think this is a great option. If you agree, disagree, I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. Hopefully until next time, be sure to be well.